Hey guys, how's it going? This is the Bald Metal Nerd coming at you. In this video, I'm going to be talking about Metallica's career. I'm going to talk about where they were, where they are, and where I think they're likely to go in the future. Now, I want to apologize a little bit. I've got a cold. I'm getting over a cold, so my voice isn't really up to snuff. So you might see me, excuse me, drink some water and have a little, during this video, so just bear with me. Now, Metallica started off, they came from nothing, pretty much like more or less all bands do in the beginning. And in fact, in the beginning, they didn't even want to play any original songs when just, Lars and James met. They just wanted to play new wave of British heavy metal cover songs. But, not long after they started, they decided, hey, we do want to do some original stuff. They hooked up with Dave Mustaine, wrote some songs. They recorded the No Life to Leather demo, and that started to get them some attention because it was so different than what a lot of other people, were doing at the time. Things started to happen for the band a little bit, just a little. They were playing shows and stuff, and then not long after that, they decided they wanted to recruit Cliff Burton. And that, really took their shows to the next level after Cliff got into the band. And they were really getting well known in the underground scene in California and nationally in the underground scene. Do that No Life to Leather demo. I mean, that thing just spread like wildfire. And it, got them noticed on a national level, at metal labels and stuff. And of course, then they traveled to New York to record Kill 'Em All. And when they did that, they, of course, kicked poor Dave out of the band, who went back to California for Megadeth, and, brought in Kirk Hammett, recorded Kill 'Em All. And that, their first album, it obviously exploded onto the metal scene like a nuclear bomb. It was huge. And then after that, they do Ride the Lightning, which is a pretty big change of direction for the band. Get a lot more progressive, a lot more other metal elements in it. And then after Ride the Lightning, they were record Master of Puppets, which of course is going to be their landmark album. At the time, they couldn't even have imagined the impact that Master of Puppets was going to have on their career or the metal world or anything. They were just doing albums, what they felt they needed to do. They of course had no idea what would happen. So Master of Puppets comes out, total landmark album. And of course, unfortunately, during their Master of Puppets tour, you don't know what happens. Cliff dies, in the bus crash. So, they have to bring in Jason Newsted. There's mourning, there's an adjustment period, all that. Then they record And Justice for All, which took their classic progressive formula as far as it go, 9-minute songs, really complex. By this time the band was having tremendous success. They had platinum selling records. They were, doing arena tours, all sorts of stuff. I mean, they all without any radio play. I mean, it was amazing level of success that they had. By this time, even if they had just stopped after Injustice for All, they had already really secured their place in the pantheon of heavy metal greats. But of course, what followed Injustice for All was the Black Album, which was a highly divisive album amongst the fan base. I mean, it shot them into the rock stratosphere, made them household names as famous as, say, Led Zeppelin or the Beatles or bands like that. It put them into that level of fame, But obviously, it's a very commercial album, produced by Bob Rock, who was known for, recording glam metal artists before that, such as Motley Crue and stuff. So obviously, hugely divisive album amongst the fan base, and after that, they, toured for a real long time, a few years, in fact, and then after that, they did Load. Talk about even more of a left turn. From what the Black Album was. They go into alt-rock territory, play Lollapalooza, all kinds of, Talk about really riling up the fan base. That album really did it. And then, they continued through that era, with Reload, Garage Inc., all that. And then they released S&M, which was another grand experiment that they did, but that mostly worked. Now, around this time, they sued Napster due to an unfinished version of I Disappear showing up on the service. Now, even though I Disappear is a horrible song, that drove Lars to do the whole Napster thing and take the brunt of that. And I'll talk about that kind of separately, the whole online Napster video. That's going to be a whole separate video. But, obviously that caused a shitload of controversy. And really, they were always seen as a band of the people. And for them to, publicly do that was really just wasn't a good career move. But, Metallica's kind of always followed what they thought was in their best interest, or what they felt. I don't know if they, it seems like a lot of stuff they did weren't, calculated career moves. Now, after this, there was a few years there of between this and Saint Anger, obviously. But there was a lot of internal strife in the band. James Hetfield went into rehab. And Jason left the band. Metallica was almost finished at this point, but they did manage to pull themselves together and record the mess of an album that was Saint Anger. And, Bob Rock filled in on bass duties. And, of course, they did release the Ballsy, some kind of monster documentary. And then after Saint Anger was recorded, Rob Trujillo took over for Jason. And then after this, the band seemed to stabilize somewhat, and, a pretty good amount. And then they recorded Death Magnetic, which was, tepid, but step in the right direction, return to form. And then after that, they did a wacky, crappy album, Lulu with Lou Reed, and they experimented with the Through the Never movie, which pretty much brings us to the current day. Currently, they're recording their next album, which has a 50-50 chance of being really good. I mean, if I'm okay with them experimenting, but they just need to do it in the right way, because they have their strong points and they have their weak points. And now as for their future, there's a few possibilities. They may go down a more traditional road of releasing albums on a more regular basis and touring. And, really kind of doing what they did in the old days, which is putting tons and tons of effort into making the absolute best albums they can and maybe actually making something really good. That could happen. And that's honestly what I personally would like to see the most. I would like to see them get down to the business of just making excellent music again. I'm hoping that happens. It could happen. It's not impossible. And the reason I say that is because of, Death Magnetic was a step in the right direction, and some of their experiments sometimes are good. The next possibility is they, release their next album and then kind of meander off into more experimental directions and, not do another album for like 10 years or whatever. And that's possible also. Who knows with them? And I think out of the three there's a third possibility, but I think those two that I just mentioned, either the more traditional route or record an album and meander off and do more experimental weird shit, I think those are the two most likely things. And third possibility, I don't know how likely this is, but it could happen, is they could record this album, tour, and then kind of just say, that's it, and kind of retire. I don't think that's likely because at this point, they're not doing it for the money. These guys are all quite rich. They could all never work again, never do another album, and have more money than they'd ever spend. So it's not about the money at this point for them. I think they really do get something out of, continuing to be in the band and all that. So retirement's a possibility, just not likely. Like I said, I would personally like to see them hone their craft, go the more traditional route. If they're doing great music, if they're just doing mediocre stuff, like they kind of have been. It's kind of like whatever, you know. And let's be honest, they've been mediocre for a lot longer time period than what they were excellent for. It's a fact. I mean, they were awesome for, let's see, maybe, you know, the first 10 years of their career. They were doing awesome stuff. And then after that, you know, they've been around more than 30 years now. So for like 20 years of it, they've been kind of a mediocre-ish band. So it's kind of like, at this point, what they do, yeah, whatever. So anyway, I want to hear what you guys think. You know, what do you think will happen? What do you want to see happen? Let me know in the comments below. If you liked what you saw, you know, please share, subscribe, thumbs up, all that fun stuff. Anyway, thanks for watching. I will catch you guys next time.